Hi, I am Thiago. I am an independent graphic designer and art director working in the intersection of communication and spatial experience. And I am one of the teachers here at Shillington. And I have today with me Taylor Checketts, who graduated in April 2024.
Has
Is
it
that
been
it?
that wait, what is it,
Or
2025? Wait.
2025? Oh, look, I'm giving too much time. It's just 1 year ago. So, Taylor, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Yes, I'm Taylor. Been working in various design roles, just kind of straight out of college. And I did Shillington to really boost my skill set and get that education that I didn't have in college. I majored in international business in college, and then kind of found myself in the design field, and I really wanted to get some of that foundational thinking, design thinking. And so enrolled in Shillington, did it early last year. And then since then, I applied to another job, got the job, but then my company counter offered. And so then I just got the higher pay, but kept my same job. So I'm still in the process of refining my portfolio. And, I think my next step is to move to something a little bit more of like an agency setting, a little bit faster paced. I'm at a corporate company in house. So it's a good salary, and it's been a very comfortable job, but I'd rather, I think, do better, cooler work, and earlier in my career focus on expanding my skill set, and then find that cushy job later. So that's kind of on my mind, top of mind right now.
I love having a very clear plan, and it seems like that you have a very clear one.
It's been fun. Yeah. I mean, it's also, I've been kind of enjoying just a little bit of time to, we just work on house projects and things. We're trying to renovate our basement. And so I've been using some of the Shillington method to think about design too, with interior design. And that's been cool. Like pulling up images and references and mood boarding, and then kind of like spacing things out and figuring, like, a lot of discovery, like all of those same principles apply as we're just redesigning our basement. And that's been fun too.
Yes, to transferring knowledge. I love that. Taylor, you just tapped into the fact that you came to Shillington when you were already having a career as a graphic designer, right? But until Shillington, did you had any training?
Uh, just what I had from the employment I had. So I had a couple of mentors. My first job was just as an intern at a film production company, and so my direct art director, he was kind of like teaching me a lot of the basics, kind of getting some just general guidance on using the programs. But yeah, one thing that I found it was difficult to get in the field through experience was process. So many times it's about, here's what we need to get done, and here's how you get it done, and here's the software you need to use, and all this stuff. But rarely do people have time to like step back and like say, okay, let's think about how do you think creatively, and how do you come to great creative solutions? Like that's really why I wanted to do Shillington, is because like you don't have that time when you're in the corporate world. Like you just are moving, and you just need to get one project done and one project done. And often it's about quantity over quality, and you're not improving your process. You're just figuring out how to get work out faster. So I think it's important to kind of step back and think about, how do you think creatively, and how do you come to creative solutions? And Shillington was that kind of perfect opportunity for me to like take a step back and really take a microscope to what's going on up here as I'm creating things, and um, make it so much better, I think, because of it, and continually improving. I don't think there's ever like a perfect creative process. You're always looking for ways to kind of expand it. But knowing there is a creative process, and knowing what your creative process is, I think is the first step to being able to improve it.
Oh, yeah, that is actually the synthesis of what Shillington really offers for anyone that comes to study here. I always say that it's about you defining what your framework to process is, and then just following the steps as you grow. And that is usually going to result into better work. And it will also result in you having a much bigger ease when you are going through the process. Do you still use the Shillington process?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I hope this isn't a problem, but I brought the Shillington process to my team. So at our company, where
You
that's
own
what,
it.
so when we go through and create a new creative brief, we actually have like a formal mood board process that we go through, and we've formalized what before was never a formalized process, where we have, you know, templates put together where we are actually filling out like step one, step two, step three, and going through these. And it's resulted in truly the best work our team has ever done. Apart from, I think, people have noticeably been complimenting me on doing better work after Shillington. I've also noticed that this helping bring this process to my team has also made our team just produce much better work. So yeah, the process is everything. I mean, Thiago, you say this all the time, like, but yeah, I big believer that yeah, it's 100% process with anything creative.
That is lovely. Yeah, it's I always say this, we spent 3 months together, right? But it's as much about trusting your training and your process as it is to being creative, right? And better processes and the trust in the training will result into kind of like more freedom to experiment creativity. So that's fantastic to hear from you, Taylor. So you were just briefly sharing with us that you graduated, you applied for a new job right after Shillington, you got the job, and then you receive a counter offer from your existing job, which is still your current job. Can you just break it down that for us a little bit?
Yeah. I uh the approach I took was just to kind of find a very specific niche, and I tailored a portfolio to that specific job. I just applied cold on LinkedIn. I didn't have any prior connection, but I one tip is just on LinkedIn. I don't know if this is valuable to anyone, but I never apply through the website. I go find the job on LinkedIn, and then I go to their actual website and apply through there, and then email the recruiter. Like, it just works a lot better. Got an interview. There was like 4 rounds. Each was an hour. There was a portfolio review and then a technical interview. Got through all 4 of those, and then they offered me the job. And I think it was a kind of confidence boost in a way where I felt like, oh, been not searching for a job for a minute, but I'm able to kind of jump back in um, and you know get I feel more confident that I can get back into the job market if I need to. Um, and then I got the added perk of just being able to get the higher salary matched. I think there's a very slow process to getting raises when you're in the corporate world, but if you have another job, that process speeds
There
up.
we go.
Quite very quickly. It's like we don't have the money until you have another job, and then it's like, oh, we had the budget, like we.
Keep
So
your card close to your heart.
yeah, just you gotta strong arm your company a little bit from time to time.
That's excellent. When you apply for this job, did you presented your Shillington projects?
I showed mostly presentation work, and so some of the things that we had done in Shillington that were related to presentations. But this particular job, because it was a corporate presentation design role, it left out a lot of the more creative work that I would probably want to do more of. So I ended up focusing on just really like kind of clean corporate design.
Mhm.
But it was actually a surprisingly small number of projects. I only walked through 2 or 3 in the whole process. And that was another thing I was thinking about, is like sometimes it's not about the quantity of work you show, it's about like the alignment between the work you're doing and the role they're trying to fill. Like, that is so much more important. It's like if you have one good project that is exactly what they're wanting, that's so much stronger than having 10 projects that kind of loosely connect to whatever their work is. And so I think that curation was important.
Yeah, that's such an smart point, and we talk about that when you guys are finishing up your portfolio. But I always believe that you were extremely smart about that, and you had a very strong sense of awareness about what to do to make the portfolio for the jobs that you wanted. And I even remember when we were finishing up your company rebrand, when you presented the portfolio pages and they were always structured as if they were like a presentation design, right? You created the extra pages with the infographics, explaining the rationale behind the rebrand. And that was so smart. And it was such a nice touch that you gave. How did you come up with all of that? At which level is your brain working a sense of awareness about bringing the pieces of design together? Is there a sense of kind of like references, hyperlink references happening? How is it for you?
I think, and I feel like this is so different for everyone, but I think for me is like really try to lean into create like, or what is it, curiosity? Like, I want to understand like why something makes me feel a certain way. If I see a design I really like, I want to know like what is it about that design that's like really clicking with me. And then you can pull those pieces that are really good, because you can, once you've broken it down and you realize like, oh, it's this thing, this little design nugget, small piece, artifact, or whatever it is that is what I find great in this, then you can take that and like blow it up and make it your own. And but I feel like trying to just understand things and like really just leaning into curiosity is kind of the approach I take. But definitely I would actually I mean, I the designers on my team are like, I think we've talked a little bit about creative process, and that everyone has such a different approach. For me, yeah, it's like it really is just driven from kind of a place of curiosity.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I feel that right now the nerdy designer in me just fell in love with the nerdy designer in you, because that's exactly the understanding of the pieces and what makes something really solid and structure to convey the message, and understanding the small parts of that allow you to also pick up better elements from the references that you have to create something new. Very lovely. Let's see some work. How about that?
Yeah, let's do. Um, I'll just go ahead and share screen here.
Are you completely recovered from your Shillington time, Taylor?
Man, I don't know if I'll ever recover. That was probably the most intense 3 months of my life. Hey, there's something very nostalgic about it. Um, just because, like, I don't know. It felt. I think when you push yourself hard, like you are creating really great work. And it takes a lot. Um, but I don't know. It's like I kind of miss that, and I kind of want to go back to it. Even though it was difficult.
The creative scars.
The creative scars, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll go ahead and start. Do you want me to go ahead and start with the just
Why
straight
don't we,
into the
yeah, why don't we take a look to one of the projects and the process that you went through resolving the work from class time into portfolio time, and then perhaps you can tell us a little bit about what was it looking like in the pre-portfolio time, how did the concept came upon, and then going into portfolio, talking a little bit about this process of discovery and curiosity, allowing yourself to also refine and iterate to find really like the better solutions for the work.
yeah. Let's go. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I'll just start from the beginning. Have to kind of refresh myself as I go. Yeah, feel free to chime in if I'm if I'm missing anything here. So yeah, like most of the projects, starting with mood boarding and being specific with mood boards. So one mood board specifically about typography, one's looking at color, one thinking about layout. Look, kind of
I, I just
slicing along.
I
Uh-huh.
just want to give a little text to it. The project that you were showing is our brief off-screen event, right? When we are creating a brand identity for a event, and we are basing the creative process around the creation of something made by hand off screen, right? And the integration about this off screen element within the digital skills, bringing all together to create the identity and the storytelling for this event. So
Mm.
we have a couple different briefs there. We have comedy, we have gaming, we have career path, and I think that you ended up with the comedy festival. So can you just perhaps tell us a little bit about what the brief was?
Yeah. So this was brand development for a comedy festival based in Birmingham, UK. The concept was that I was going with was LMAO IRL. Comedy is better in real life. So kind of bringing some real element to the screen, taking a non-digital element to the screen. Target audience was individual and families, longtime fans of comedy. And then some of the visual keywords were to make it feel punchy, relatable, and real, tactile. And as far as tone of voice, uncomfortable, blunt, community oriented. And so, yeah, it started with some mood boards, getting kind of some rough ideas sketched out.
Can you go back, Taylor, to the results that you had from class?
Yeah, the end results.
No, the early results from class time. Yeah,
Oh,
those posters. Yeah.
here.
So the concept was
Concept was LMAO IRL.
comedy
Comedy
is
is
Live. Okay, and how are you planning around the creation of this off-screen element?
With I was looking at a few different ways that people had incorporated off screen. Um, and then I came across some ripped paper, and there was something that felt really like tactile about it to me. And it's it got me thinking about like, you know, getting out of the screen. So like there's an opportunity for like things to be ripping out of screen and off the page, so to speak. And I loved like the depth it added, and it seemed versatile enough to kind of expand out into something bigger. So that just I put together some quick ideas here where I just ripped up some small bits of paper and was kind of like seeing how things might fit together. People coming out of pages, and then putting letters across the page. I was experimenting with some of these cutouts of like a mic. Um, and then that's and then that led to the first round where I was kind of trying to figure out how to incorporate these cutout elements, if it makes more sense to lean into like one dominant color, or whether it's better to kind of have a series. Just trying to find different versions that could work with the same elements. So taking the letters and putting them, juxtaposing them with text, yet letting the letters kind of follow people, trying to find maybe more comedic elements in there with the tone of voice. And then I kind of took another turn where I wanted to just shake it up and say, well, can we try something different? See if there's maybe a different approach that may work better here. Try these different background shapes and colors, and it wasn't something to me was feeling like too light, not as urgent as I wanted it to be, not as like in your face as like a bold single color poster. So I dropped that idea. I tried kind of taking these little markers and making it look like someone's like scribbling on the page. Made me wonder, like, is there an opportunity here, as if like these were annotated? So I kind of add a real element to it as well. Some of these were successful, some of them not so much. And then kept going and kind of refining those colors to feel really like bold and poppy. And then seeing if we can take those cutout letters and then adding just a little bit of color and these scribbles to them. And that kind of gave way to some of the tone of voice, thinking about like what the text says here, may contain strong opinions. It's all very personal, ready for some unfiltered oversharing. And then I think this was the round where there was finally a breakthrough with tone of voice. And this was actually largely with Thiago's help. I got to throw in the towel on this one and say that this was very much because he was really helping me through this. But to add kind of almost a political statement in it, where there's so much division and hate in the world, comedy is kind of that thing that can bring us together. And it was this wonderful kind of bringing together of two concepts, where we had the tone of voice, which was that comedy can bring us together, but then we had the visuals that matched that, of things being, we're being torn apart. And so
If you don't mind stopping here in these beautiful images that you have there, Taylor, I think that one thing that is strike me throughout the process is that you had this intention to display a sense of urgency, right? That was coming through the off-screen element of this paper being torn and all of that energy. And throughout the process, when you were showing us all the iterations you did until you got here, this beautiful punch through the paper starts getting lost a little bit. And we start focusing more in the tiny little letters individual. And when you found the real repetition through the tone of voice, you were able to really give us like the torn paper effect, like in this beautiful message that is kind of like poking through the page. And it looks so powerful.
yeah, the central like emotion, the emotional core was like, I think it was discovered in this round 3, where it's like, suddenly there's guidance on when to use rips and like when to use like how to use your text too, and and then that I think made everything start to feel like it was more connected. Where I think in some of the earlier iterations, like it was a little there was a little too many ideas going on. This I think helped focus it and bring in just one idea, which I felt like is often a good way to make things feel like they belong together, is to make sure that you're simplifying down to like what's the core concept, what's the core idea. And so
Yeah,
that,
so,
yeah, that was
so
a fun. I still really distinctly remember like late at night being on the call and Thiago was there and we were just like riffing and I was like throwing like these like, he was throwing some ideas out, I was throwing some ideas out, and it was like suddenly like, Thiago pulls this like picture and like throws this text on it and he's like, whoa, we just like put it, put two and two together. And it was like this like click where I was like, there it is. Boom, we got it.
I mean,
And from there, yeah,
the interesting thing here, and if you don't mind just zooming out a little bit for us, the interesting thing here and the magic is to see all of this process and these iterations, which I think I complimented you on that you were someone that was unafraid to do the jump. So when you would jump, you would really jump really high, and then you would come up with all of these um, layers of storytelling and work that we could really take apart and put back together again. And I love this element that you just brought, Taylor, about the subtraction. I am a big fan of The Bear. I don't know if you watched that TV show.
the bear, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, The Bear is about that guy that's a chef in a restaurant, like really like
Oh,
star Michelin. And there is one of these episodes in which he's cooking and he's constantly taking one ingredient out until he ends with the most beautiful, delicious plate with the minimum amount of ingredients. And that's exactly what you were sharing with us here right now. There was a process of like subtraction and then really amplifying the elements that were the hero. Do you mind just revolving around the subject a little bit more and then just picking up from where we left and taking us to the end of the process?
yeah, totally. Yeah, and there's like I love the kind of fish model where it's like diversion, try a whole bunch of things, and then cut down, diversion, cut down. Once you find that piece that you want to hone in on, like that's the point to like start subtraction and just taking things out, which in a way adds so much in a kind of counterintuitively. So then we took that idea and uh, started like making one version of each poster. So you had like one a comedian version, and so we did colors, different colors, and then we had a message, and then we had like like a
Totally.
statement, and then something coming through the screen. Tried a couple of other things here, but was really just focusing in on like highlighting an artist, a statement, and a something else being torn out of the page, and trying to like make that as big as possible. If you're trying to catch attention, with the billboard or something, you want it to be not too much going on. You just want to like focus on one thing. And so I iterated on those. And then that kind of led into this 3x3 grid where you have three dominant colors, three featured comedians, three, kind of more unique angles. And then there's three like statement pieces. And then that kind of led to the basis of the brand guide, which helped kind of carry into helped inform all the different application of this design through posters, through banners, and just a lot of different mock-ups. I think because that central idea was really cohesive, it made the rest of that all pretty easy to build out.
Fantastic. Why don't you show us the final portfolio project? Let's take a look at the case study.
Let me see. Is this is still showing up, right? On Figma?
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the process pieces here, I just took these with my iPhone. Grabbed a lamp because I wanted there to be a little bit more contrast, light and shadow. Just made it feel a little bit more like there was more depth. And then it also allowed me to match the light direction from the people with the background. So just made everything feel a little bit more like uniform, a little more like it belonged together. A poster series, trying it out in different settings, some different orientations, kind of seeing how the different colors worked together. And then that original idea of like using ripping as a metaphor for breaking out of the screen. There's, opportunities to make the digital experience also kind of reflect that, bringing some of that kind of depth and tactile feel to just some of the printed items, festival banners.
Beautiful tone of voice. Amazing. That was so lovely, Taylor. Thank you for sharing some of your insights on that. Now that we finished looking at this first project, I would love to hear a little bit about your reflection on how the course at Shillington is break down, right? We have the first phase, which is your foundations. Then we work very heavily on briefs, and then it comes portfolio time. And each one of them has its own set of learning curves and experiences. How would you define your 3 months based on the different phases that you experience in the course?
Let me see. Sorry, I had to drop the screen share there. Can you repeat that question?
Oh, of course. Now that you shared this beautiful piece of your portfolio, I wanted you to make a reflection about your 3 months in the course, right? Because the course is clearly divided in three phases, like the foundations, the big briefs, and then portfolio. And you go through a different set of transformations at each one of these stops, culminating a portfolio. Can you describe a little bit about how your experience was?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I get very self-critical, so I don't know if this applies to anyone, but like I can stop myself before I've even put things on paper where I start making something and I'm like, oh, this is so bad. I can't go forward with this. And so one thing that with when Shillington, in Shillington, I was trying to kind of reiterate is like, one, it's not the final end. It's not the end, right? When you put something on paper, that's not the end result. Like there's a lot of iterations that you can keep making something better. And apart from that, this project isn't the end of your career. Like that you have, even if this project isn't your finest piece that like you look back on and, think of it, fondly as a career, groundbreaker, it's still a piece that, helps you along your way. And so it's so important, I feel like, to just always show up. Like, even if it's like you're not doing your best work and you're not happy with what you're creating, it's still extremely important to just keep doing it, just keep making things and being okay with not having good work. Um, and it's totally fine. Like it doesn't reflect on you as a designer. It's just that particular piece. And your journey as a designer is so much longer, so much bigger than that. And so, so with Shillington, I always like tried every project is like at least put something on paper. Like don't let any project go unsubmitted. Just at least have something, even if it's like the worst thing ever and you're just literally pushing it out just because you want to have something, there. I just think there's something important about kind of like always kind of being in the game. And I think too, like after the course, you don't, it's hard, like just talking up Thiago here, you don't find that many incredible graphic design teachers. Like it's hard to find people who care and really want to see you improve and are willing to push on you. That's another really big one is like, even in the corporate world, like even if there's finances tied to it, sometimes people don't feel feel the need to like get in your way and push you harder to do better work. And that takes a special kind of person to do that kind of work. And so it's like, take advantage of that, like you have an incredible instructor who they want to see their students succeed. Like everyone we worked with were just, fully committed and, gave incredible advice. And it's like, it is those hard, it's like what was it? Susanna said that like really stuck with me is she was like, it's the teachers who yell at you that they're good. Like so they're the ones that care. It's like they're the ones that care enough to like see your potential. And so it's like very important to not be too hard on yourself. And it's very important to give yourself grace and to say like it's okay if you're not creating your best work at this moment and you will get better. And like have that faith. But also realize that like it is kind of a gift in a way to have someone who cares about you enough to like really like push back on your work and see your potential. So yeah, thanks to Tiago. Thanks to,
Ah,
you know,
no, no. Taylor, do you feel that this kind of like learning elements that you can very self-consciously bring that to your team? You were just talking a little bit about that, but when you are informing your team of like things that you learn and passing along this knowledge, does the Shillington era ghost is behind your ear telling you?
totally. Yeah. I think, especially with the process, like there's, it's really night and day before Shillington and after how I approach, mood boarding and all the steps to get to design. Like that is 100% different, and it's a different on our entire team. So, that's always kind of a reminder of my time at Shillington. Um, and actually, we stay in touch. A lot of the students from the class, and Carolina reached out, and maybe this, I don't know if we want, want this in the final, but she's asked me to help with some like brand stuff she's working on, as with her like scuba diving yoga company she's creating, and so I'm helping her kind of develop that brand and things, and so that'll be live soon. So yeah, it'd be cool if we were all able to do another meetup at some point.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to meet some of your colleagues and classmates as well. I would love to invite Marseille to the meeting, Sonia and everybody, so then we can be together. I actually just met Christina in person.
Oh, did you? Nice. How was
Yeah,
it?
I was in New York. I was in New York for the installation of my latest exhibition, and then Shillington organized a get together. The only person of your class time that was able to go was Christina, and it was really funny because we have never seen each other in person and has been 1 year since you guys graduated. So when Christina arrived, I completely couldn't recognize who was that girl. So then I was just like, "Hi, I'm Tiago," and then she like Christina, and that immediately brought so many memories because it's not only for you students, for us teachers too. You guys make such a big mark. I always say that, like at every semester, I feel much more creative because of this relationship of exchange that we have with the students. So it is a special time to be here at Shillington, not only for you guys, but for us teaching as well. Like when you get lucky to learn so much back from a student, and I always say that to you, your diligence, your approach to curiosity, and to the way that you unafraidly throw things in the air and rearrange them. I carry that as well. So thank you for taking the time to come at Shillington. Taylor, if we have just a couple more minutes, I would love to just take a look at your uh, corporate rebrand, because you definitely use that to leverage your work as a presentation designer and did that so smartly in portfolio, and is a great reflection of like uh, what you were doing and what you continue to do it now. So do you mind just showing us that a little bit?
Yeah, the Lumi one, is that the one you're
Yes, Lumi. And I promise I will let you go.
No, this is great. Um, would love to catch up with you too and hear about all the things you're doing.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm super serious. Okay, let's just get some folks together and let's do one of those.
I've been really wanting to get back out to New York.
I had a meeting with Susanna. I had a meeting with Susanna before the end of last year. She was applying for the master's program and wanted to have a discussion a little bit about the perceptions that teachers have of her approach to work and all of that. So it was a fabulous conversation to have as well.
She's in London, right?
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, I think this one's probably. I don't think I have a lot
We
portfolio
can go,
page.
yeah, we can go to portfolio pages if you
Okay.
don't mind. Yeah, if you don't mind breaking it down for us.
Yeah. So this one, I kind of wanted to take a little bit of my uh, business background and like put a little bit of numbers to something. So, and see if there was a way to take the design and kind of connect it with business objectives. So, Spirit Airlines, so this was done in 2024, where they declared bankruptcy, and they had a string of really bad years, really bad PR, kind of being known as like one of the worst airlines, out there. And so they had actually, they'd really become a meme for bad air travel. So they had a bit of a PR crisis. And so the challenge is how do you make budget air travel feel empowering for jaded travelers so that they feel uplifted, respected, and excited to fly again? And so, essentially, people want to fly cheap, but not at the cost of dignity or certainty. It's important for people to have some degree of uh, trust in whatever airline they're going with, even if it's a low cost carrier. So that led to this idea of Lumi trying to make travel feel lighter. Lumi is it's not just it's about where let's see isn't just about getting there. It's about what you find along the way, a new feeling, a new perspective, a new version of yourself. New version of yourself. That's your spark. So yeah, the concept was find your spark, letting kind of leaning into this idea of travel as this way to ignite the soul and ignite yourself to get away from your baggage, to kind of feel more uplifted and brighter, leaning into this idea of light, Lumi being, I think, Latin for light, if I remember right. Um, some of the taglines: leave the baggage, Lumi Airlines, new feeling, new perspective. That's your spark. Focusing too on a more kind of human approach where it's about listening and learning, changing, taking the feedback and growing from it, bringing in kind of these light flares, giving it this kind of bright, friendly feel. These added in these kind of was playing with this idea of like light beams that are kind of like cycling around people and kind of carrying through like the energy people have that they share. Are really strong.
Gorgeous. Just so gorgeous, so beautiful. So Taylor, let's finish this up. You were just saying to me that you were ready to give a bigger step in your career now and maybe consider moving to like a larger agency. What's in the making?
Yeah. I actually just saw a posting in London for a design position, and I was like, that seems like it could be a lot of fun. Is that an agency? So I would love to try working in an agency for some amount of time. I just feel like my best work is ahead of me, and I'm kind of in a point where I want to take a risk, grind a little bit, try making some really cool stuff, and see where it goes. Yeah, to be continued, I suppose.
Yeah,